Dolphins fans, I want to thank you for getting this channel to 19,000 subscribers here, but we're not done. We want to get Dolphins today to way beyond that figure. 20,000 is the next one up. If you want free videos on the Miami Dolphins, you guys have come to the right spot. Join us, hit that big red button, and subscribe right now. I'm Tom Downey, and today we're taking a look at the Dolphins' current playoff picture and their path to making the postseason. Now, if the season ended today, which of course it does not, the Dolphins would be in. They have the tiebreakers over the Ravens, Chargers, and the Raiders, at least for the time being. The Dolphins have marched a borderline impossible run as of late. 7 straight wins. We are, we'll call it, 2 months removed from the Dolphins staring a 1-7 record in the face. They've gotten hot. They've picked up some quality wins against an admittedly easier schedule, but even great teams don't often win 7 straight games. So it's unfair to dismiss what Miami has done as, oh, schedule's bad. You don't win 7 straight games very easily. Miami right now, 8-7 and firmly alive in the playoff hunt. However, the schedule at Tennessee, home against the Patriots, is about to get a lot more challenging. Now, I love to use the New York Times playoff simulator because it allows you to look at the encompassing view here. Factors in the remaining schedule, the odds, all the tiebreakers. So factoring in the fact that the Dolphins will likely be underdogs in the next 2 games, this is the playoff chance odd percentages right now for the wild card teams, since the Browns are, they're going to have to be a division winner if they're going to make it in. Chargers, 37%. Ravens, 28%. Dolphins, 23%. Raiders, 19%. Steelers, 14%. I didn't include Colts and Patriots since they're probably going to be 2 of the wild card teams, so the math is a little bit higher from that perspective, but we're looking at the likely contenders for that last spot in the playoff race. It's very simple for Miami to make the playoffs. Path number 1 is as easy as it comes. If Miami wins out, if they win 9 straight games, they make the playoffs. That is all they have to do. However, it's going to get a little bit more challenging than what it's been in recent weeks for Miami. They've beaten the Houston Texans. Well, they're bad. The Ravens, that was a big win with major playoff tiebreaker implications. They've beaten the Jets, Panthers, Giants, the Jets again, and then most recently a decimated Saints team. So the upcoming games, no doubt, are going to be harder for this Dolphins team. I don't know if they will win out. If they don't, there is still a path. We're about to break that down. But first, will the Dolphins make the playoffs this year? Y for yes, they will. N for no, they will not. I want you to make your potentially overly optimistic predictions in the comments right now. This is the pinned comment on today's video. The ad break comes. Take advantage of it. Head down to the pinned comment, type in Y for yes or N for no. Let's look at the Dolphins' schedule here, because again, win out and they're in. They are an underdog on the road, not by that much, against the Tennessee Titans, a 3.5-point spread in this one. Vegas expecting a low-scoring game. 40 is the over-under in this one. You're talking like a 21-17 type of game in terms of the scoring, which I actually think would benefit Miami given how great their defense has played in this stretch. So I want you now to predict the score for me of the Dolphins at the Tennessee Titans. I assume most of you are going to be picking the Dolphins in that one, but head down to the comments and let me know what you're thinking. Week 18, meanwhile, assuming Miami not eliminated from the playoff race at that point, is against the New England Patriots. Now, this could be a win and in scenario for Miami, depending on if that game maybe gets flexed to prime time. That's a possibility, or just depending on what else happens around the NFL. Might be we're watching 4 different games at once, seeing how that would impact the Dolphins' playoff chances. But there's a real chance they are still alive in that game. If you think Miami's going to beat Tennessee and or make the playoffs, put your money where your mouth is. All right, go over to BetUS, our sports book partner. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code is Dolphins125. When you put down 125% deposit bonus, you'll get or if you put $100, excuse me, you'll get the 125% deposit bonus. I kind of misspoke there. Let me do it again. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Dolphins125. You put down $100. That's how you get the 125% deposit bonus there. You'd think I'd done it enough by now. I wouldn't screw it up, but I did anyway. But that's okay. If you get some bets wrong, you mess up yourself, you got plenty of extra money. Again, promo code Dolphins125 at chatsports.com/bet. Let's look now at some of these scenarios and paths for the Dolphins if they lose to Tennessee. After all, they are an underdog. Just because Miami loses that game does not mean they are out of the playoff race, but it does mean they're going to need some help down the stretch. There are some very much preferred outcomes in Week 17 if the Dolphins lose, or even if they win to help, add some buffer for Week 18. Here are the preferred outcomes. Denver beats the Chargers. The Broncos have almost no path to the postseason, so you want them to win. You want the Browns to beat the Steelers. That benefits Miami. The Jags over the Patriots. Yeah, probably not going to be able to get your hopes up too much for that one. You want the Rams to beat the Ravens. Not as impactful, but still one you want. You want the Colts over the Raiders to kind of get the Raiders out of that race, since the Colts are probably going to be in no matter what. And the Bengals over the Chiefs. Now, the Bengals beating Kansas City could be very helpful for various tiebreakers and scenarios involving losses for Miami. I'm not sure it's the most likely outcome. I think there are other games involved you would be more wanting to have turn out that way, because a Bengals loss doesn't hurt you as much as other losses by teams could. There is an elimination scenario this upcoming week for Miami. Titans beat the Dolphins. The Patriots beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, which I think ends up happening. And then these are the two ones that matter, the ones that really could kill Miami. Chargers beat the Broncos, and the Steelers beat the Browns. Because of all these convoluted tiebreakers with so many teams still in the mix, that would actually eliminate Miami from the postseason. Don't want that to happen. So what is the percent chance that the Dolphins make the playoffs? You saw the NY Times simulator going around 23%. What do you guys have to say, though? Get your votes in for me in the comments right now. Let's run through then some more specific scenarios, what I consider the four likely outcomes here. The Rams beat the Ravens, who I don't think are going to have Lamar Jackson this week. The Colts beat the Raiders, not that the flip result matters too much from that perspective. The Patriots beat the Jacksonville Jags, and the Chiefs beat the Bengals. Now, if these things don't happen, you start to get into some really weird alternative outcomes and scenarios, but I'm focused in right now on the Chargers and Steelers, what I consider to be the easier path for Miami to make the postseason. If stuff happens otherwise, well then, we'll break it down next week for the final week of the NFL season. So let's explore, if the Chargers lose to the Broncos, how does that impact Miami's path in Week 17 and, of course, in Week 18, assuming they beat the Patriots? If you lose to Tennessee, Chargers lose this week, Dolphins win Week 18. Here are the steps the Dolphins need to have happen to then make the postseason. Step number one, Ravens got to beat the Steelers. If not, they're out. Just like that. Eliminated. They also need the Chargers to then beat the Raiders. So what you want, as weird as this sounds, you're kind of cheering for a Steelers loss one time and a Chargers loss one time, then get some wins along the way. The Broncos must beat the Chiefs. Don't love that particular outcome. That's a bit convoluted right there. Now, maybe the Chiefs beat the Bengals and they got nothing to play for and they rest their starters. Maybe that helps you. Might not be the case, though, because you can't secure that number one seed because Tennessee will have beaten Miami. That's the issue you run into in Week 18. So nice in theory, not in practicality, though. The Bills need a win in Week 17 or Week 18 in this scenario as well because, It's weird. Stuff's really weird. As crazy as that sounds, kind of the convoluted scenarios there. So I don't love this outcome of a Chargers loss. What I like more is the Steelers lose a game scenario. You're also, by the way, still cheering for the Colts to beat the Raiders to make life easier from that perspective as well. If the Steelers lose in Week 17, you turn right back around and you want Pittsburgh to beat the Ravens. I know, it's weird. Welcome to the weird chaos it is, tiebreakers and shit in the NFL. You then want the Bengals to beat the Cleveland Browns. Both of those, I think, are fairly possible, and there's a real chance that the Steelers and Bengals would be favored in that game. Then you want the Raiders to beat the Chargers, since the Chargers in this scenario would have won in Week 17. Of course, the most ideal outcome is both these teams lose, which we'll get to in a second. But which outcome do you think is more likely to benefit Miami? Type C for a Chargers loss against the Broncos, or type in S for a Steelers loss in Big Ben's final home game against the Browns. I think it's the S one, but I want to hear from you right now in the comment section. So finally, the more ideal Dolphins lose a game, get some help outcome. What if the Steelers and Chargers both lose in Week 17? This makes things a little bit easier. There are a couple paths involved here. Step number one, Bengals got to beat the Browns. You got to get the Browns out of the playoff race for Week 18, since they would have, in this case, beaten the Steelers in Week 17. Then you want the Chargers to beat the Raiders. Again, you're trying to get them out of the scenario altogether, since even if it was the Colts, you got weird tiebreaker stuff, head-to-head stuff going on there involving Raiders-Dolphins. Then you want the Steelers to beat the Ravens. This is not a must-have outcome. It's either the Steelers beat the Ravens or the Broncos beat the Chiefs and the Bills get one win along the way. So it's a hybrid of the two previous scenarios that we had discussed. It's not the most likely outcome. Again, the Dolphins control their own destiny. Win out, you make the playoffs. If you lose a game, or of course if you lose both of them, things start to get complicated and convoluted for Miami. So beat Tennessee, and the Dolphins are in a really good spot. If they don't beat Tennessee, well, we'll break down that playoff scenario next week.